Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back with Accredited Laboratory. Another series of lectures about very important topic: antimicrobial drugs or antibacterials or antibiotics or veterinary drugs. In this training course, you will learn what the use of these antibiotics for human and animals and what are the consequences from the overuse or misuse of these antibiotics, and also mechanism of action for most of them. Please follow the antimicrobial drug playlist and subscribe to receive every new lecture. Antimicrobial drugs or antibiotics or veterinary drugs, they are antibacterials that can inhibit the growth of microorganisms or kill the microorganisms. So they are divided according to their mechanism of action into bacteriostatic and bactericidal. Bacteriostatic, that can inhibit the growth of microorganisms. Bactericidal, that can kill the microorganisms. Also, they have a wide spectrum activity against the gram-positive and the gram-negative bacteria. They are antibacterials, so they are active against all types of bacteria. So, they are widely used in the prevention and the treatment of infectious diseases to protect the health and welfare of human and animals. Some of these antibiotics produced naturally by microorganisms. They extract these antibiotics from the microorganism. But now most of them manufactured synthetically. And now it's very important because it became easy to get a very high amount from these antibiotics and quickly. As a specialist in the analysis of veterinary drug residue in the food of animal origin, I will explain what the use of antibiotics for the animals and why do we need to analyze veterinary drug residue in the food of animal origin. First, what the use of antibiotics for animals. Antibiotics administered to animals as therapeutic agents, prophylactic agents, and as growth promoters. Therapeutic agents for treatment of infected animals, where veterinarians specify a disease of the animal and they give the animal a specific antibiotic for this disease. So, specific antibiotic will be given to the animal for a specific disease. And in this case, the animal will receive a course of antibiotic which involves a high dose for a short period of time. Also, antibiotics will be administered to the animals as a prophylactic agents to prevent the disease before it happens, when signs and symptoms for that disease are absent but suspected. When the veterinarians suspect that there may be a disease will happen to the animals, or a specific type of bacteria will be transferred to the animals, or during the change of seasons, or because of the weather, or if there are animals in a farm beside their farm and these animals had a specific disease or specific type of bacteria transferred to these animals, so they will be afraid that this type of bacteria also will be transferred to their animals, so they will give the animals a cocktail mixture of antibiotics to protect the health of these animals. And in this case, antibiotics will be given to the animals periodically for several days during the life cycle of the animal. So the animal in this case also will receive a high dose for a short period of time. And before that, in the old times, they used antibiotics as a growth promoters. They thought that if they give the animal a very low dose of mixture of antibiotics for a long period of time, that will enhance the feed conversion ratio of the animal and so will increase the growth rate and the productivity of animals. Feed conversion ratio, or FCR, measure the efficiency with which the bodies of livestock can convert the food given to the animal to the desired output from milk or meat or egg or other products, equal to mass of input food given to the animal divided by mass of output, which is milk or meat or other products. If the FCR increase, the growth rate of the animal will increase. They thought that if low doses of antibiotics are given to the animal for a long period of time, that will help growing animals to digest their food more efficiently and will increase the absorption of nutrients by thinning the intestinal wall, because it will suppress the sensitive population of bacteria in the intestine, and so will enhance the feed conversion ratio. If the food given to the animal as an input digested well, so the quality of output or the quality of products like milk or meat or other products also will increase, so it will enhance the feed conversion ratio, and so improve the quality of products output with the low percentage of fat and the high protein content. But currently they found that using antibiotics for a long period of time may lead to appearance of residue of these veterinary drugs in the food of animal origin, and so development of resistant strains of bacteria. So now antibiotics banned as a growth promoters. It cannot be used now as a growth promoters for the animals. The overuse or misuse of veterinary drugs given to the animals can lead to presence of residue of these compounds or their metabolites in the edible tissues of animals. So there will be residue of these veterinary drugs in the edible tissues of animals that will be transferred also to the human, and that can be toxic, can have toxic effects, also can have allergic reactions with hypersensitivity individuals, and also in case of processed food where the final products will have a poor quality, such as products obtained by fermentation such as cheese or yogurt. In this case, the antibiotics can inhibit the bacteria which is responsible for fermentation, and the final product will be with a poor quality. And these antibiotic residues also can be responsible for development of resistant strains of bacteria or antimicrobial resistance. Bacteria which is resistant to these antibiotics. And this is very dangerous because these bacteria, this type of bacteria will be transferred to the human. And if the same antibiotic given to the human or the animal, it will not help for treatment. And that was the answer for the second question. Why do we need to analyze veterinary drug residues in the food of animal origin? Because these residues will be transferred to the human, and so can make toxicity for some individuals and can make allergic reactions for some individuals who have hypersensitivity against some antibiotics, and also can affect for the processed food for the final products. And very important point, because it will be responsible for development of resistant strains of bacteria, and this is very dangerous because after that these antibiotics will not help for treatment of human and animals. And the last point in this big introduction, how to control these residues. For that, European divided the antibiotics into two groups. Group A, which are prohibited or banned compounds, so the animals cannot be treated with these antibiotics. And the group B, which are allowed compounds, but with the specific maximum residual limit for each compound. So the animals can be treated with these compounds in this group. So the animal products should be free from these antibiotics and can have residue of these antibiotics, but with the maximum residual limit, such as sulfonamide, 100 ppb, maximum residual limit 100 ppb. Higher than 100 ppb, the product will not be accepted, will be rejected. Less than 100 ppb, the product will be accepted. Tetracycline 100 ppb also. Higher than 100 ppb will be rejected, the product. Less than 100 ppb, the product will be accepted. But in case of prohibited compounds, they established MRPL, minimum required performance level, for each compound. Higher than this level, the product will be rejected. Lower than this level, the product will be accepted. And that only to harmonize the analytical performance of the method. If you want to develop any method to analyze these compounds, you need a number to be able to quantify. That was the end of our lecture for today. Inshallah, in the next lectures, I will explain different type of subjects, such as bacterial cell wall and the difference between gram-positive and the gram-negative bacteria, and also mechanism of action for different type of antibiotics. Thank you, and see you in the next lecture, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.